So I've never seen an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It wasn't part of my childhood. I have no emotional connection or attachment to him or his show whatsoever. But I did watch the recent documentary about him, which at least shed a bit of light on him and his show. And I thought the whole concept behind his show was very interesting. However, for some reason I don't think the documentary really managed to convey what it wanted to. It didn't really resonate with me on the level I think it was supposed to. So yeah, going into this, I still had no real investment in Mr. Rogers or his show. And to be honest, I was in no real hurry to watch this either, mainly because, well, it honestly looked like just another generic biopic, nothing more. Now, I definitely wanted to see what Tom Hanks would do with this role. And it had received mostly positive reviews as well, so I thought it shouldn't be too bad. But I just didn't think it would turn out to be anything special either. And with most movies you kinda know what to expect, and most movies deliver exactly what you expect. Now some might surprise you in a bad or a good way, by being a little bit different. But then you have movies like this where I definitely expected something very specific. But almost from the very beginning I realized I'd very much misjudged it. Because as it turns out, this is not just another generic biopic. In fact, I would hesitate to call it a biopic at all, because, well, it's sorta not about Mr. Rogers at all. It is and it isn't, but the main narrative actually follows this journalist, played by Matthew Rhys. Rice? Anyway, he's actually the protagonist here, he's at the center of it all. And that's the character that goes through an arc, and his story provides the drama here. Now, as a journalist, he gets tasked with writing a piece of Mr. Rogers. That's how these two elements sorta come together, and that's how he fits into the picture. But what I loved most about this was the very interesting approach it took. Because what they did was basically set this main character's story up as an episode of the TV show. And from what I understand, the TV show was very much about teaching kids to deal with their emotions. And how to handle different situations, and yeah, what to do with their feelings. And because the main character here has some emotional issues he's struggling with, that fits right into this concept, and I thought the execution here was brilliant. I mean, the way this is put together just felt so creative and refreshing. And it's very difficult to explain how they did it without actually seeing it. But at the center of this is essentially just a regular drama that follows this man as he struggles with his issues. And that's basically the emotional core and the driving force of the movie. That's what it's about, that's the story that keeps the audience engaged. But baked into this is the whole Mr. Rogers angle, and it fits into the narrative surprisingly seamlessly. And it serves a clear purpose too, but I wouldn't say the actual story is about Mr. Rogers. Sure, it involves him, and he's absolutely crucial to the story as well. And I think Tom Hanks did a fantastic job with his performance too. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't call this a biopic, because it's not really about Mr. Rogers. It's sort of about his philosophy in life and his whole approach to things. And it definitely gets a bit into who he was and all of that, but he's not at the center of the narrative. And that's probably the way it should be, because from what I can tell, the show was not about him either. It was about telling stories and teaching about all the different facets of life. And in that sense, this is kind of like an episode of that show, and I think that was very clever. And I ended up pretty much loving what they did with this overall. It just felt like such a breath of fresh air, but not only that, it also managed to somehow work. Like, the story here works, the narrative is effective, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And I thought the writing, the direction, and the editing all worked together to make this something very memorable. However, would I recommend this? Yeah, I think it's definitely worth giving a shot. Or alternatively, you could not do that. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you, and thanks for watching.